Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. The government's COVID-19 response is going to be scrutinised by a Royal Commission, the highest form of public inquiry available in New Zealand. The Royal Commission has been asked to look at the government's overall response, including the economic response, to identify what the country can learn from it and how that can be applied to any future pandemics. But there is an omission. Individual decisions by the Reserve Bank won't be included. Here's political reporter Imogen Wells.
For nearly 300 days, at least one part of the country was either in lockdown or living under red traffic light settings, with Auckland bearing the brunt of the harsh measures. And now we're going to find out if it was the right thing to do.
That time is now.
The government just hours ago greenlighting a Royal Commission of Inquiry into our COVID-19 response.
I think the reason that it is incredibly important, though, that we use the most significant inquiry or level of inquiry that we have is because of the significant impact of COVID-19.
And it's a Royal Commission with a difference. Usually led by a judge, our COVID probe will instead be led by a panel of experts. Enter ex-Treasury Secretary John Whitehead, former Cabinet Minister Hekia Parata and epidemiologist Tony Blakely.
We're not here to lay blame. We're not here to pursue agencies that might not have done the best thing. We're here to learn the lessons from those things.
Looking back at our COVID response, there aren't just lockdowns to look into, there's also PPE stocks, the way critical legislation was passed under urgency, our vaccine rollout, contact tracing, the economic response, the availability of rats, border restrictions, our preparedness for different variants, and vaccine mandates. The summary of the terms of reference says the consideration of interests of Māori and the impact on essential workers will be part of this mega inquiry, but the Reserve Bank's independent monetary decisions throughout the pandemic won't be.
What is excluded is the Reserve Bank's Independent Monetary Policy Committee and those individual decisions that would have been made by that committee.
I think there's some ambiguity about that. What we really need to see is a separate inquiry into the actions of the Reserve Bank and how it has contributed to possibly worsening the cost of living crisis.
The Prime Minister later clarified that means overall policy like money printing is in, but for instance, individual interest rate decisions are not.
Monetary policy is included. What is specifically excluded are the individual decisions made by the Monetary Policy Committee, in part because of the independence of that committee.
In terms of timing, the Royal Commission must report back by June 2024, which is good news for the government, because if there are questions over its decision-making ahead of next year's election, it can point to the yet-to-be-finished report. The answers, though, something perhaps the public deserve before heading to the voting booth. Imogen Wells, Newshub.